And then I tell you, the one animal that freaks me out that if I see one of these things, like if I ever saw one on my property, I am going to extinguish it and kill it no matter what. I mean, it's going to be scorched earth. It's a freaking monkey.
Oh yeah, I'm not big.
Dude,
Monkeys are. I don't know why people want them as pets. I
I
mean,
don't
they're
know.
you go to
Monkeys,
the zoo and they'll piss on you at the zoo. Like
yeah.
why would you? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like if there's ever a monkey here, I was like, I'm gonna shoot the thing and make sure it's dead. I was like, I don't do monkeys, so they're
You
creepy.
probably go to jail. They're probably endangered or something. I mean,
That's where you shoot, shovel, and shut up. You don't take pictures of you and your dead monkey. So, so
hey everybody, welcome back to the Homestead HQ where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. I am Shelly.
and I'm Jason, guys. Welcome back. We're in the final leg of countdown to our festival, October 26th and 27th. We're about a week away. And it's foot to butt, balls to the wall, getting everything done right now. But hey, it's good, guys. If you hadn't got your ticket yet, get your stinking ticket. Get your ticket for the
Yep.
festival. Get your ticket for the charity dinner. I mean, there's no sense in spending 10 extra bucks to buy them at the door. I mean, we'll take your 10 extra dollars if you want to give it to us, but you can save 10 bucks buying your ticket now. Use code email 25 and
Yep.
you'll save your 10 bucks. But shoot, we'll jump right in on it. I'll tell you, the last podcast we talked about uh, two of our big sponsors for this that put foot to butt and kind of their money where their mouth is at. VacMaster, it's VacMasterFresh.com. They make commercial chamber sealers, butchering knives, rubber gloves, all that kind of stuff. Go to their website, VacMasterFresh.com, use the coupon code Homestead, and that can save you 15% on your order. And we'll get the other one out of the way too. Signature Solar, signaturesolar.com. Go to their website, check out their prices. They're amazing prices. That's where I'm going to buy all my solar stuff from now on just because of the pricing. And you can use the code Homestead to save you some money on that order. And they will actually be at the festival next Saturday and Sunday. So you can see some of the signature solar products there, talk to their experts. They can size a system, tell them what you want. They can size it up for you. And you can order it and get it shipped out to you. And they'll also have a special promo code just for the festival from what they were saying. So that's what we've got going. We've done that. Those guys support us and they support Grindstone Ministries and relief efforts over for the hurricane affected areas. But Shelly, what have you got going other than festival stuff?
It's festival stuff. We've got Darren and Patty from Hacks for the Homestead are coming in to out here at our place a few days before the festival to hang out with us. So I've been getting everything ready for that. But yeah, it's festival. That's and every day I'll sit there and think, oh my God, I forgot to add that to my list. And I run and get my list, write it down, or I'll be cleaning something up and I'll come across something. I'm like, oh my God, that needs to go in the box for the festival.
Yeah.
It's all I think about right now.
Oh yeah, my wife is going to be excited that the extra bedroom's cleaned out of all the raffle prizes and
I bet.
goodie bag stuff and everything. It's like no kidding. There's a little pathway to walk in between the bed and the desk, and it's just all prizes and goodie bag stuff and everything. And I'm like, man, we're actually going to use this room again after this weekend. So
And I want to give a shout out. I've been getting, like we have a thing on our website to sign up if you want to volunteer and that kind of thing. But I've been getting messages from people that, are just friends that we've met through doing festivals and through homesteading and all of that. And they've been messaging me and saying, hey, we figured out that we're going to get in a day early. Can we come and help? What do you need us to do to help set up and all that kind of stuff? So shout out to the Hinkles and shout out to Zeg. I'm really appreciative of them reaching out and saying, hey, we'll be there early to help. Yay!
oh yeah, it's going to be like a mini festival right before the festival.
I know,
really.
Right?
Yeah. So I mean, there's probably going to be 20 or 30 people in on Thursday, I'd say.
Yep.
So, but hey, nothing. Is that all you got going? Nothing major. Have you been out walking your fence row and admiring the beauty of that?
No. I need to. Randy's been out. He drove around, and there was a couple places because our terrain is just jacked up basically. But there's a couple places that he noted that he's going to have to go down and like fill in with some rock and stuff just to make our. I don't think that the sheep will mess with it, but just to make sure that the livestock guardian dog doesn't mess with it. But
Oh, yeah.
that's really, I haven't had time to go look at anything.
They will find a hole and exploit it for sure.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I told the story or not. There was one little spot that the fence got messed up, and the dogs were getting out. And my neighbor called me, and he's like, "Your dogs are over by the school." So I went and grabbed them, and I'm like, "Get back in the fence." And two of the custodians at the school are like, "Are those your dogs?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "We've been feeding those dogs every afternoon when we come to clean the school." And I'm like, "Stop feeding my dogs." And she's like, they're so sweet. They just come over here. And she's like, "We've been feeding them for like 2 weeks every afternoon."
That's why they keep going over there.
Yeah. And I'm like, "Stop, don't do that anymore." And I wasn't mean about it. I was like, "But they've got a job. And if they're over here eating, they're not doing their job." She's like, "I'm sorry." So
that's funny that you talk about that because our little news thing has something to do with that. But go ahead. What's going on at your farm?
Nothing really. I mean, general maintenance stuff. The tractor's fixed. I mean, we talked about that last time. I mean, we Jimmy rigged it, and there's no neutral safety switch on it. So I told my brother, and he's like, "Well, I'll be careful when I drive it next time." I'm like, "Okay." But I mean, other than the general maintenance stuff like that, nothing really. I mean, we got it's all festival, and I've got 2 jobs that I've got to get finished before Friday because I want to try to work like half a day Thursday. I want to be done by noon to where I can come up to and start getting some extra stuff going. But it was funny. What was it? The other day I got in from work and I looked and I'm like, I have to get this compost pile going. So for William's compost demo, because I told him, I was like, "I'll have all the ingredients for you. I'll have a compost pile that's about a week or a week and a half old that we can flip so you can show people the progress." And he's like, "All right, cool." So I was looking around. I was like, I don't really have any greens, green stuff to put in there. And if anybody that knows me, I hate mowing the yard. I try to mow the yard every 2 weeks, and I don't care if it gets a little tall, I'll mow it. And I've got one of the baggers that you can pull behind it and pick up all of it.
And that gives you your green stuff for your compost.
Yeah. So my brother had come up. My brother had come up and mowed the yard before I left to go to Tennessee with Grindstone. So I jump on the mower. I'm like, I'm just going to mow the side yard, mow it super short, get enough green and get enough grass clippings that I'll have enough greens for this compost pile. So I'm on the mower, get done, getting ready to rake it all up. And my wife comes out and she goes, "Why are you mowing the yard?" And she's like, "It's not that tall." And I was like, "I hate mowing the yard." I said, "I just need green grass clippings to make this compost pile." And she's like, "I was wondering what was going on because you never mow the yard once a week." and I was like, if it wasn't for this stupid compost pile I got to build, I wouldn't be wasting my time mowing the yard. But yes, the compost pile is built. It'll be setting. It'll have aged about a week, a little over a week. 9 days, something like that. So it'll be a good flip to show everybody. But I've got that built, and then just festival crap. We've had meetings about it. My list of stuff keeps growing, and it's just like I'm kind of ready for the thing to get done and actually get started. I'm looking forward to that. So that's all.
Well, and the whole thing about you were gone for a week, and that kind of threw a little bit of a crimp and everything. Not saying that you shouldn't have been gone. You totally should have been gone. It's amazing that you went and took care of that. But if y'all come to the festival and something ain't running right, just show us a little bit of grace. It's been a lot of stress. It's been a lot of stress.
We'll have a system down one of these days, and like
exactly.
So I mean, and it's funny. The first one was a success. We ran it on a wing and a prayer, and we were like, we have no idea what in the world we're doing, but it turned out good. We forgot some stuff and had some hiccups, but I'm like, we can fix it next time. Who cares?
But this is the third one, and I still kind of think it's a wing and a prayer for real.
Oh, for sure. I mean, And that's what last night we're sitting there, we're getting ready to play Monopoly because it's gotten to be a thing. My youngest one loves to play Monopoly like on Saturday night. So he was like, can we play Monopoly? And of course my brother came up. We're getting ready, we just got done eating dinner, and my brother's cruising on Facebook looking at stuff. And he's like, hey, he's like, one of my buddies has got a walk-in cooler for sale for $700. And I'm like, dude, call him right now. I was like, I want it. And so he's calling, and they're texting back and forth and everything. And he's like, it's pending right now. And he was telling him what needed to be done with it. And of course, my wife's like, where are you going to put it? What are you going to do with this walk-in cooler? I was like, I don't know. I was like, but I'll figure it out.
For $700, heck yeah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for $700, I was like, I'll figure it out. She's like, you have no idea. And she's like, and she looked at my brother and she goes, it's true that people, there's one person in the marriage that plans every small detail, and the other one is just fly by the seat of his pants. And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I was like, if I can't use the thing, I was like, I can sell it to somebody and double my money.
So in your life, this is why you're married to Whitney.
Yes.
And in the festival, this is why we work together.
Yes.
You are the fly by the seat of the pants, and I have all the crap organized.
Yes. And it works.
It's frustrating. I feel your wife's pain. It's frustrating. Like, I feel like you have to be reined in, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad that you call and say, hey, I'm going to do this. And if I say, no, we ain't going to do that, you listen to me. But, oh, God. It's nerve-wracking, man.
I come up with some good ideas, though, don't I? Most of the time.
You do come up with good ideas. And, I mean, and he is not afraid to talk to anybody. Like my personality, I don't have a problem talking to people. And in my job, I'm a trainer. I get up in front of people and talk and train and all of that kind of thing. But as far as like going out, like if I'm at a restaurant, I'm going to eat and whatever. Jason will walk in the door. He's just like my son-in-law, Josh. Jason will walk in the door and he just talks to anybody. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like. He just talks to anybody. And I'm like, do you know them? Like, what are you doing? He's like, no, I don't know them. Well, makes me a little crazy.
Now, part of it, too, is the business I'm in. People will call you out of the blue and want you to come to their house. And, you know, you're going into somebody's house you never met to give them a price on doing some contracting work.
So you got to know how to talk to people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't hit a Jeffrey Dahmer yet, so I'm still around.
There you go.
So... But, you know, you got to
let me just say this. I'm thankful that I don't have to do in our, you know, the festival thing, what you do. I'm glad that you take care of what you take care of. I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
Well, if I had to take care of scheduling a social media post and handling the books and who's paid and who hadn't paid for their booth and stuff like that, I wouldn't know if there's $20 in there or $200 million in the account. It'd just be like... Sure, we'll spend money till the bank calls us and says you don't have any money to buy this.
No, we ain't doing that mess.
Yeah. So kind of like the joke is, the guy's wife finally figured out that the smoke detector wasn't a timer for the oven.
Right.
That's the way I would run the bank account. You know, when everything's going to hell, it's like, nope, we can't buy that. We don't have any money left.
Right.
But. What's the news that you got?
So I ran across this story. It kind of, you know, caught my attention. This woman, she calls 911 because she's having problems getting back into her house because there are 100 aggressive raccoons in her yard. Like 100. Jeez. Well, the article, when you get into the article, they estimate when they got out there was somewhere between 75 and 100 or whatever. So for more than 35 years, this woman, this is in Washington State, for more than 35 years, this woman has been leaving food in her yard for about a dozen resident raccoons. For 35 years, it's been about a dozen raccoons, and she just puts food out and they come up and eat. And it's been like a thing, right?
She
like the lunch lady and your dogs.
Yeah.
And in the last 6 weeks, that's when the number started increasing. And I don't know what changed in the last 6 weeks over 35 years. That's kind of weird,
The
right?
economy.
Maybe nobody else is feeding them in their backyard. So the raccoon community has come together and said, "Hey, over here in Washington, there's this chick." So there may be raccoons moving in from like Oregon and Utah and Idaho and all that stuff. I don't know. Um, so anyway, she calls 911 because she, pulls up and she can't get into her house because they're being very aggressive. And it even got to the point where like all night long they're scratching on the outside of her house when she's trying to sleep. And if she pulled up in her car, they're scratching on her car. And I'm sure that they were probably scratching on her and her too when she tried to get into the house. But the thing that caught my eye about uh this article is that the guy, um so feeding large animals like bears and wolves and stuff like that is against the law in Washington, I guess. But feeding stuff like raccoons is not against the law. But the sheriff or whoever it was, the police agency that came out, they were like, she's kind of made her bed and now she has to deal with it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, it's just one more example that nobody's coming to help, right? I mean, this woman's got 100 raccoons in her yard and she's by herself and nobody's coming to help. So when I read the article, I thought, this is kind of one of those permaculture things where a lot of times the problem is the solution. So if the cops aren't coming to help and they're telling her that she has to deal with it on her own, in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, this might be a time to break out the rifle and learn how to get really good at shooting small game.
Yeah.
You got 100 of them running around in your yard. You're likely to shoot something, right?
Oh yeah.
So sometimes the problem becomes the solution. I don't know if she's going to do that, but I do know that raccoons carry disease and all that kind of stuff that can transfer to people and pets and that kind of thing. But she needs to be doing something. And if the government's not coming to help, because we all know the government ain't going to help anybody, she needs to take it into her own hands and alleviate that situation.
Sounds like she has a lack of mountain lion problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
But that was one of the things in the article. It said, when you've got a big concentration of those animals, it will attract larger predators.
yeah.
And I don't know if you want that happening. I mean, just saying, I don't know how remotely she lives. I wouldn't want a big bear banging on my house. And I've watched like those Alaska frontier shows and everything, and people actually on their doormats, they have to put nails coming up on their doormats. Otherwise, they got bears trying to break into their house and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah.
I don't know. She probably needs to get rid of her. It says the sheriff's department is trying to get trappers to come out, but I don't know. But anyways,
I would rather deal with one bear than 100 raccoons.
oh, I would too.
Oh,
I would. I mean, raccoons are cute and all that kind of stuff, and they're very smart and everything, but they can be mean and big, and they got opposable thumbs, y'all. I mean, they can like open doors and stuff.
The funniest thing about the funniest raccoon story I've got, I was in high school. I was dating a girl. We were over at her parents' house. We were watching a movie, sitting in the living room watching a movie. It was dark outside, like Friday or Saturday night. And all of a sudden, we hear like this horrible noise outside in the front yard. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I walk out the front door and look, and there's this dude, and he's got a string in his hand, and there's something moving on the front. It's like he's walking a dog. And I'm like, I yell at the dude. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, man, he said, he was like 2 doors down from this girl I was dating, her house. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, man, he said, there's a raccoon in my trash. He said, it was making all this noise. He said, the darn thing got its head stuck in a peanut butter jar. So this is honest to God, the guy had taken a string, tied around the peanut butter jar, and was walking this raccoon and trying to figure out. He's like, I've been trying to pull its head out. And I'm like, take a hammer and bust the jar. He goes, it's plastic. And I was like, well, crap. So the dude had like poked a couple holes where it could breathe in the end of it. And he said, I've been trying to pull this raccoon's head out of this jar. I get over and look, the dude's forearms are just scraped all to pieces with this
Yeah, I
raccoon.
bet.
And I was like, dude, I'm not getting eat up by this raccoon. So I stand there and watch, and finally he wrestles this raccoon until finally this peanut butter jar comes off its head, and that raccoon just like takes off. This dude's standing there with an empty peanut butter jar tied to a string and just like bleeding in his arms. And I'm like, this shit's getting weird. I just went back in and watched the movie. I'm like, I'm done with this for the night.
Dude, I have the best raccoon story ever. You're going to like this. So up in Indiana, there's a place that we used to go camping. It's called Raccoon Lake because they have tons of raccoons there. And so we rolled in. It was Randy and I, and we only had Jessica at the time. She was 3 years old, so she's going to be 35 this year. So that tells you how long ago this was. And then our friends, Charles and Stacy, and their kid, CW, he's like a year and a half old. And we roll in because, like, no joke, Charles and Stacy's going to be late to their own funeral for real. We roll into the campground at 11 o'clock at night. And I'm already, because I hate to be late, and I'm already just like, oh my God. So I'm tired. We got to unload. We're tent camping. We have to set up a tent and all that kind of stuff. So I'm already like in a bad mood. We get there, and Stacy and I that day had gone to Aldi and bought all the food for the weekend that we were going to have camping. And if you shop at Aldi, you know, like you put everything in a box. And back then we didn't have bags or what. So we just, when we go, we'd get a box and put everything. So we get into our campground. The only thing that's on, because you're supposed to be quiet, lights out at 10 o'clock. The only thing we have on is the car light, the headlights from the car, because we haven't even set up lanterns or anything. Charles and Randy get out of the car, and there's a raccoon over by the fire pit. And so they go over there, and this raccoon is like making its little clicky noises, and its little arms are up in the air, and it's like doing this kind of thing. And Randy and Charles are like, check out this raccoon, man. And so the little raccoon's doing his thing. And Stacy and I get stuck unloading the van while they're playing with the raccoon. So we're bringing all the food over and setting it on the picnic table that's behind Randy and Charles, all this boxes of food and everything. And we had one box that was full of like buns and bread and donuts and breakfast stuff and all of that kind of stuff. So we go back to the car. This raccoon is still making its noise, waving its arms and all this kind of stuff. I turn back to look, and dude, there's like no less than 20 raccoons on the picnic table behind Randy and Charles getting all of our food. And they don't even hear them. How do they not hear them?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's supposed to be lights out and quiet. I'm screaming in the campground because these raccoons are taking off with our food, and they disperse. They're gone everywhere. And Randy and Charles turn around. They see the raccoons running, and then they turn back around, and the little guy that was entertaining them is gone. And so Charles and Randy grab flashlights, and they're running through the woods trying to get our food back. No, it was all gone. Next morning we get up, and there's like wrappers all out in the woods and stuff. And I was like, you guys are going to go clean that crap up. We ain't leaving that stuff at a campground. And it's your fault that we lost all our food. Go clean that crap up. Like, it ain't our fault. And I said, yeah, it is, you idiots. I said, you sat there and let one raccoon entertain you while his friend stole all of our shit. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. They're pretty stinking smart.
They are smart. Like, there's no way I would want 100 of them hanging out at my house, because I'd be like, I'm probably going to die. Like, yeah. I don't know what's going on or what they're doing, but man.
Oh yeah. I tell you, raccoons are smart. And then I tell you, the one animal that freaks me out, that if I see one of these things, like if I ever saw one on my property, I am going to extinguish it and kill it no matter what. I mean, it's going to be scorched earth. It's a freaking monkey.
Oh yeah, I'm not big. Dude. Monkeys are. I don't know why people want them as pets. I mean, you go to the zoo and they'll piss on you at the zoo. Like, yeah. Why would you? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like. You know, if there's ever a monkey here, I was like, I'm going to shoot the thing and make sure it's dead. I was like, I don't do monkeys. So they're creepy.
You probably go to jail. They're probably endangered or something. I mean.
That's where you shoot, shovel, and shut up. You don't take pictures of you and your dead monkey. So,
So that's the news for the day. It's funny stories, but yeah.
yeah. But Shelly, I tell you, coming on the heels of me getting back from the hurricane area and stuff like that, you and I have had conversations. We've had conversations with other KSL people about, the as much stuff as I've got prepared, I feel inadequate, and I'm not talking necessarily the people that lost everything. There's nothing you can do. The preparedness aspect, you could have, $10 million of stuff stored away at your property, and if it gets washed away in the flood, that prepping and that preparedness stuff, is gone downhill. But I'm talking more, I was looking at some of these people that are up in the mountains and they're not going to have power. A lot of them, they're saying 4 to 6 months, maybe 8 months, and not a whole lot of running water and stuff like that. They've still got their house and everything. And, their preps that they've got, their livestock and all that kind of stuff. But I was telling you and a lot of people, I was like, I feel, even as long as I've been doing this, super inadequate on some of the stuff I've got. And that's going into our main topic of, more preparedness on the community level as opposed to really the individual level. And it's going to take, it takes a community to pull through something big. I mean, you see communities over there that are pulling through. Everybody's helping each other and doing stuff. One guy's got an excavator. He's not worried about his place right now. He's trying to help his neighbors, get stuff done, get stuff cleaned up and everything like that. So I kind of wanted us just to kind of freeform it and talk about more community preparedness and stuff that we can do for more of a long-term disaster or a long-term scenario. I mean, right now, Cuba, the whole country of Cuba is pretty much without power. I don't know if people saw that, but yeah, Cuba's in the dark. I guarantee whatever the dictator is in Cuba, his power's on at his palace, but the vast majority of Cuba has no power. So if a widespread episode like that, the lone person is not going to be able to survive on their own.
Well, when you messaged me and said that you wanted to talk about this today, my first thought was, I really I want to know what that looks like, I guess, because, and just coming from my perspective, you've been doing this a whole lot longer than I have, and considering, what was it, 3 years ago, I guess 4 years ago, when we started homesteading, probably about 7 years ago. I think that's when we got our first pigs, and doing that, just and all of the stuff that we do now wasn't even on my radar. All I wanted was to lower my grocery bill and be in control of where my food came from. So now, I mean, sitting where I'm at now, I mean, I feel like it's 500 times better than what it was just 3 years ago, just because of the people I've met, the connections I've made, all the way from, I mean, seriously, coast to coast. Like you and I know people coast to coast.
Yeah.
And, but there's like a concentration of people in Kansas that we're friends with. There's a concentration of people in Tennessee. There's a concentration of people in North Carolina. There's all of that, even up in Indiana. There's all of that. And that makes, I'm thankful for that. So from my point of view, I'm like, how much deeper can we go? Like how much more can we do? And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I literally don't, make me understand what you're talking about, because I don't really I don't know. Like, explain it.
Yes, and we've got connections, coast to coast. And one of the big things is too, I'm looking at it. Yes, we could count on those connections. If something localized happened to the Kentucky area, we've got people in North Carolina, and other states that could come in and help us if we have egress of travel like we do right now. The guys could load up a bunch of stuff from Kansas, bring us a bunch of stuff, or they could come up from Tennessee and help us out as a community. But more or less, if it's a total, we'll just call it a grid down collapse that affects the whole United States as a whole. I mean, you don't see other foreign countries coming into North Carolina and Tennessee and bringing aid. I
Right.
mean, well, hell, you don't even see the federal government doing it. But,
Right.
the federal government can help every other country, but nobody is coming to help the United States. So if it's a total kind of grid down collapse kind of deal, where you don't have free egress, going back and forth between states and stuff like that, that's where the local people, the people that are closer to you, can help you out. Because in a grid down deal, 100 miles might as well be on the moon, kind of thing.
Right.
So it's as local as you can get and stuff like that. I mean, that's why we're building ours and getting more tight knit community, people that we can count on. I've got, and me and you both have our list of people that we can call, and
Right.
a lot of these people are volunteers, like you said before, that are calling us to be like, hey, I'm coming in a day early, or I took an extra day off. What do you need? And it's not, honestly, it's not really the help of doing the festival stuff. It's just hanging out with those people for an extra day, and that they're
I know,
willing.
it's the fellowship of it. That's what's so amazing. I mean, I'm when I get those texts, I'm like, these are people that you can really count on. And
Yeah,
that that's the problem, like this situation that you're talking about. If you have a grid down situation, who are those people that you can really count on? Because if you get a flat tire on the parkway, if you've got a list of 5 people that you can call and 4 of them ain't going to do nothing to help you, guess what? You can't count on them, because a flat
yeah,
tire is nothing compared to the scenario that Jason's talking about.
yeah. And going back with the flat tire deal, when I went to Tennessee last week, I drove. It was, I think, 20 minutes longer to drive through Kentucky and then drop down into Tennessee than it was to go down to Nashville and take 40. And the reason I did that is because I know 10 times more people taking that route as I do in
Yep.
Tennessee. Granted, I knew people in Tennessee, but I'm like, these people in Kentucky, I've got their cell phone number. I can get them at a moment's notice, and everything will be fine. But yeah, like Mike Shepard and Lawrence, they're coming in on Friday and going to help. And I've got a list of stuff that I need Mike and Lawrence to do. They're going to bring stuff up from the shop, and I trust those two guys. They know the code to the shop. If they need to get into the house, they know where stuff is, and I've got no problem whatsoever them going in the house, grabbing something, coming down, and having full access to the shop. Those are the kind of people that you need, that you can count on in a grid down
Right.
situation, and in everyday life. I mean, Mike Shepard helped me yesterday. Mike comes and helps me on my job sometimes if I need an extra hand. I pay him to come help me. But there's a lot of times Mike's just come over to my house and hung out and been an extra hand, just hanging out with me and stuff. But those are the type of people that you need in your community and to help you out. The other aspect of it is just the sheer amount of some of the preparations that you need. So I started looking, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that I need to get. That, yes, I've got fuel, I've got extra gasoline, extra diesel, extra propane stuff, but I'm looking, if you're looking at an 8-month stint, the amount of stuff that you need probably 3 times of what you think you need. I mean,
So
just
if you're okay, are taking food out of the mix, obviously we need to have, food supplies.
yeah,
And, whether you start at a month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, obviously you're going to need food supplies. What are you talking about? Are you talking about medical? You just mentioned fuel.
yeah.
Um,
Well, medical supplies are a big thing, and of course, these people that have lost everything over there in that affected area, all their stuff got washed away. So I'm not looking at that aspect, but yeah, the medical stuff. If whatever medical stuff you've got, you probably need to triple that. Honestly, I mean, gauze, band-aids, neosporin, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, all that kind of stuff. Kind of triple it up. Look at it as you're not going to get a resupply for 8 months, kind of thing. So I mean, just stock medical stuff to the gills, and a lot of the medical stuff, the basic stuff, is inexpensive. I mean, especially if you buy it by the case, gauze are not that expensive.
And gauze is the gauze and that wrap stuff, like cling wrap or whatever that.
Coban.
Yeah, Coban. Um, those things, if you had any kind of, even just, it doesn't even have to be major, semi, like a deep cut, something like that, you'll go through tons of that stuff within 48 hours.
Yeah.
So those things are inexpensive things that you can stock up on. One of the things that I started doing after I took Chuck's medical class was I started, so if I'm out and I see stuff on sale, like medical supply stuff on sale, I will stock up on it then. But I have a list that either through Amazon or just going to the store or buying from online people that we know that have, you can purchase online and stuff like that. Whatever it is, I have a list of things that I purchase every month. And then I have just a place in here in the room that I'm in right now, actually, that I have been storing that stuff. And honestly, I mean, in my budget with, everything else that I'm trying to get stocked up on, I only spend maybe $25 a month on medical stuff, but that I spend that money on medical stuff, and I'm slowly building my stores, I guess.
Yeah. And that is, I don't think you can ever have too many medical supplies, because essentially gauze and Coban and Band-Aids and stuff like that, they're not going to go bad.
No.
They've got an expiration date on them, but I mean, if it's sterile in the package and the package has never been messed with, it's not going to go bad.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like milk. It's going to sit there and spoil, after the certain date. But one of the things that really caught me when I was out there was just power generation. I'm not a fan of large scale solar stuff, all these solar farms that they're putting out. I think it showed Duke Energy, one of the last hurricanes that hit Florida, Duke Energy, like a third of their solar thing just got wiped away, in these big, massive solar farms. Solar generation on the personal scale is, my opinion, the best way to go. Just like government on the small scale is the way to go. Once you get something so big, it's just, it doesn't work. But as far as power generation, I think the small scale solar is the way to go. And especially after messing with these solar generators that Signature Solar sent. I mean, some of these solar generators are freaking massive. And I mean, you can buy expansion packs for those things. They can run a whole stinking house if you need to. So, but I think everybody should have some of the smaller solar generators with solar panels to charge those, because you can charge those things throughout the day and then use them at night. Granted, you're not going to run an 8,000 square foot house and run all your central heat and air and all your refrigerators and all that kind of stuff, but it's going to get you the basics. I mean, one of those solar generators that Signature sent us, it's going to run. It will probably be able to run a refrigerator and a freezer at the same time. So, and still probably have some capacity left over as far as doing that. I'm going to have to test it and see. I'm going to run some tests on it and stuff like that and see how much stuff it actually will power. But solar generation's a big one, having stuff to run that, because that's a renewable source. As long as you got panels, you can recharge those batteries and run stuff. Your fuel. I've got a lot of fuel stored. I've got a lot of gasoline, propane, and diesel stored here, but I still feel inadequate. I probably could not run 8 months on the fuel that I've got stored here. It would be close, and that would be, running stuff super sparingly. I'm going to stock up on more gasoline and diesel fuel and just rotate through your stocks.
I was gonna say, I thought gasoline and diesel, which, I mean, we don't personally have anything that runs on diesel because we don't have a tractor, but I thought gasoline goes bad. It's like, how long can you keep a 55-gallon drum of gasoline, and how often do you have to cycle through that, I guess is what I'm asking.
The non-ethanol gas is going to last a lot longer than the ethanol gas. So any stuff that I store and any gasoline that I use for small engines like chainsaws, blowers, weed eaters, and the mower, I use non-ethanol gas. So I store it, and it's a product called it's PRI-G or dash D. It's a fuel stabilizer and a fuel additive. It's similar to like Stay Build, but it will actually refresh old fuel. So typically what I do, if I'm going to store a 55-gallon drum, I'll fill the 55-gallon drum all the way up to the brim. I mean, to the hole, the bung hole that you fill it up with. And I will pour usually twice the amount of that fuel stabilizer in there. And then I cap the top. And I've had non-ethanol fuel set for 2 years before in a drum, and it's still fine after that.
Huh. Okay.
So, and then diesel fuel will store probably twice as long as gasoline. So, and I do the same thing with it. I'll put 55 gallons of diesel in a barrel, and then pour the diesel additive to it, seal the top up, and I keep it in a shaded spot. I don't just let it sit out in the sun. So it's in a 100% shaded spot to where it's not getting the sun exposure. It's still getting the temperature swings, but if your barrel is all the way full, there's no place for condensation to happen in there. So there's no way for the condensation. There's no air left in it, so the air can't condensate when there's a fluctuation change. And then plus you're keeping it out of the sunlight, so the barrel's not going to swell or contract and stuff like that. Because you've seen 5-gallon gas cans, if they sit out in the sun, the thing looks like a darn balloon.
Yeah.
Building all that pressure up. You don't have that because there's no vapors and no air in there to expand, and plus it's out of the sunlight. So store as much gasoline or whatever fuel you're going to use. If you've got a diesel truck and you've got a diesel tractor and a diesel generator, you probably just need to store diesel fuel. But I like a mix of stuff because I've got gasoline, propane, and diesel generators here. So I store all three fuels for that. And plus we've got a diesel tractor and a Bobcat that runs on diesel. And then all our vehicles run on gasoline. So I just store all three. And I'll tell you, to be honest with you, I started looking at getting another propane tank set at the house. And on my house, we run a dual fuel system. So if it's below, I set the cutoff at 36 degrees. So we run an electric heat pump. If the temperature is above 36 degrees, we're running a heat pump for the heat. If it drops below 36 degrees, it kicks on propane. So we've got a 500-gallon propane tank. I'm looking at getting another 500-gallon propane tank and piggybacking them together to where I'll just have an extra 500-gallon tank sitting here.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and then that way you can keep the house heated because we'll probably heat the house with gas logs. So you can turn the gas logs on. The gas logs require no power other than some of them will take like a 9-volt battery as an igniter, but the gas logs we've got now, they take like the barbecue igniter where you push it in and it makes a spark. So there's no battery for it. So all you need is propane flow for that. And the gas logs, I think they're I forgot the BTUs on those, but they'll keep they'll keep you from freezing to death in the main part of the house. So that's one of the things. And I did get a brand new propane tank from the propane company. A 500-gallon tank is almost $3,000.
Holy crap.
And I about fell out of the truck when she told me that.
So you own your other tank?
Yes, I bought.
Because a lot of times you just get them from the place or, they charge you a rental fee, I guess.
Yeah. And when I built this house, I was talking to Dad. I was like, I don't want to. Because most of the time you have to sign a contract with them and they can screw you over, and that's the only place. If you sign up with Joe Blow's Propane and rent his tank, you have to buy the propane from him.
Right. So
he sets the price. I can shop around since I own my tank, and I'll call 2 or 3 different people and find the lowest price and they're like, hey, come fill it up. So in my opinion, it's always better to buy the tank. And when I built this house, they were nowhere near $3,000.
Yeah.
So I'm looking right now on Marketplace for
I was
a
gonna say, can you find a used one anywhere?
yeah, they got used ones, but now the problem is the darn things you used to be able to buy several years ago. It was usually about $1 to $1.50 a gallon is what you could buy the tanks for. So if it was 1,000 gallon tank, usually you get them for 1,000 to $1,500, but they're quite a bit more expensive now.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I mean, if I could find a good deal on 1,000 gallon tank, I'd go ahead and buy it and just have 1,000 gallon with the 500 sitting here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of the things. Stock up on the fuel. Whatever fuel you think you got, go ahead and triple it. If you've got a good place to store it, have it there. But the big thing that's got me is having enough people to support what you're wanting to do. Is the big thing. If you've got enough people to help you support what you want to do, no matter if you've got enough supplies or not, you've got the people that can pull together and figure out how to do stuff. That's one of the big things. Having people that you can count on. And that's another reason to come to the festival is to find those people that, the people at the festival already think alike. So it's not like you're going to act weird if you're like,
Right.
hey, do you eat freeze dried food regularly? They're not going to look at you like you got 3 eyeballs or something.
I mean, I don't want to steal SRF's tagline, but you really need to find your tribe, right?
Yeah.
You got to find the people that, because even if you run into some like-minded people that kind of do things the way that you do, they may not be your tribe because there's some crazy people out there. So the
Yeah.
festival, Midwest, SRF, our festival, any other festival out there, it's a good place to go and meet those people and make those connections. Don't just, I think sometimes, and me included, I the reason I started going to festivals was because there were skills that I wanted to learn and they were going to be teaching those skills. But don't be one of those people that just sits and doesn't talk to people, which I tend to be one of those people. Now that I know what I know, it's like somebody might point out to me, well, that guy over there knows how to do tree grafting. Well, I don't know how to do tree grafting, so I'm going to go talk to that guy. Don't just sit on the sidelines and not connect with people. Use that time as a place or a time for networking so you can figure out who your tribe is and you can get a feel for them. I mean, usually within the first 20 minutes of talking to somebody, you know whether or not you're going to talk to them again, right?
For sure. Some of us can tell in 30 seconds.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, guys, when y'all come to the festival, find some people. Come up, find Shelly or I, and be like, hey, I live in whatever. I live in whatever county in Kentucky. We can probably find somebody that's pretty close to you or know somebody that's there. I mean, heck, if you're a go-getter, I mean, we want to sit down and talk to you. So the problem with it is people want to give you a lot of lip service on, oh yeah, I'm prepping for the zombie apocalypse and this and that and kind of stuff. But when it comes to nut cutting time, they don't want to put foot to butt and do anything. That's a problem that I have that I've seen with a lot of people that I've talked to is, hey, I've got this, we need to do this, we're going to have a meeting, and they show up to the meeting and you start making plans. And I'm not saying we're passing the plate around, but when it's time to pass the plate around, they don't have anything to put in.
Yeah.
That's the problem with a lot of the prepping people that I see.
But even aside from the festival, Jason and I also do Homestead Meetups with our community. And the last meetup that we had in August, I guess it was, I met several people there that we had never met before, and they've got some skills. I mean, they're doing some stuff, and you need to get out. If you see, on Facebook or flyers or in the community, you hear about these things going on, go to them. I mean, the more that you involve yourself in that, the more the people who are organizing it are motivated to continue to do that. And it's just build your community. You've got to build your community. You cannot just sit on the sidelines and think. And, obviously the people in Eastern Tennessee and Western North Carolina, they know and they have their whole community out there. But there's I've heard stories about people that are up on that mountain that are just kind of like completely cut off now because the roads and bridges and all of that stuff are out, and they don't know what to do. They don't know, some of them are prepared. Some of them have been up there and they're just kind of like, leave me alone, I'm doing my thing. But some of them are, like I've watched videos that Bear has done talking about people unaliving themselves and that kind of thing because they don't know how to deal with what's happening, and that is tragic beyond measure, and that doesn't need to be happening. That
Yeah.
Build your community.
Yeah. And guys, I mean, come to the festival. I mean, if you don't come to ours, go to different ones and find these people and talk to them, and they can set you and probably lead you to some people that are close to you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people in Kentucky, and we can probably find you somebody to hook up with if you're too far away from us. But yeah, do that. Shelly, talk a little bit about the festival since it's only a few days out.
It's only a few days out. Okay, so
And then,
Friday,
then we get to sleep for like a week after this, right?
I am totally going to sleep for a week. Like if I see your number pop up on my phone, I'm going to hit whatever, decline, delete, whatever. Don't even call me. So on Friday before the festival, this is not included in the festival, but we just want to let you know that there are some workshops on Friday. There's an all-day canning. There's an all-day canning workshop. There is an all-day ham radio workshop building, and it's Jason's talking about getting preps in order and building your community and local and all that kind of stuff. This emergency communications workshop that's happening in Homestead or S&B Homestead Radio are putting it on. It's imperative that you have a plan.
Yes.
It's imperative that your friends and family, whoever your group is that you're going to be communicating with in times of need, it's imperative that you have a plan in place and everybody knows what to do. The other two workshops that we're having is an herbal workshop. Leslie, who does all of our herbal stuff, she's teaching a half-day herbal class. And then Chuck, who does all of our medical stuff from Homestead Medical, is going to be teaching a half-day medical class where he's going to be teaching wound closure. You're going to get to stitch some stuff, and wound care and stuff like that. Some of the speakers that we have at the festival, let me just run through my list.
Now, with the wound care and herbal class, you can take both of those in the same day because they're going to be offered. One will be in the morning and then one will be in the afternoon. So you can take both of those and get more medically prepared the traditional way and the alternative way,
the holistic way. Yeah.
That
I want to say Chuck's class is in the morning and Leslie's class is in the afternoon, I believe. So our speakers for the festival, so on Saturday and Sunday both, the doors are going to open at 8:30. Our vendors will be set up on the concourse and down on the arena floor, so you can come in, do some shopping or whatever. The speakers are going to start at 10 o'clock on both days. So our speaker lineup, we've got Sean Terrio. He's going to be talking about unplugging from the matrix, that kind of thing, having your electronics but not having them tracked. We've got William Bond, who's going to be talking about setting up a permaculture homestead, and he's also going to be doing our compost demonstration. We've got Angry Prepper from New York. He's going to be coming in and talking about all things prepping, bugging out, urban locations, all of that kind of stuff. Leslie is going to be doing herbal walks along with doing the class on Friday. She is also going to have a booth set up where you can come and make your own herbal tinctures, kind of a make and take kind of thing. Jeff Smith is going to be talking about how to deal with those people who always say, well, if stuff hits the fan, I'm coming to your place. He's going to be talking about that a little bit. Bill Stoker from Stoker-Matic is Wow, my mind just went blank. What is Bill Stoker talking about?
Homestead Defense.
Yes, Homestead Security. Bill's going to be talking about that. Chuck Peoples is going to be talking about prolonged care. He's going to do a session about that. Byron Russell, he's going to be talking about drone defense and what that's all about. Then we've got Erica Anderson and Dylan Searcy from Chronically Healthy that are going to be coming in and talking about living a healthier life and maybe not so much dependent on the output or the inputs from the world. Philip and Barbara Sue Kowalski are going to be talking about beekeeping. Brian and Susan from S&B Homestead Radio are going to be talking about, they're going to do a session talking about radio communications, but don't forget that class on Friday. You'll want to check that out. Local Prepper is going to be talking about Prepping 101. Where do you get started? You've heard Jason and I talk about this, and maybe you've heard other people on YouTube talk about prepping. Local Prepper is going to say, this is how you actually get started doing that. Randall White from Flomaton Famous, or he is Flomaton Famous, I guess. He's going to be talking about tree grafting, and he is also going to have a booth set up the whole weekend doing demonstrations about that. Callie Blackwell, who wrote the book The Boy and 7 Billion, she's going to be there, and she's going to be talking about alternative healthy living. So like, pretty much herbal stuff, kind of like Leslie does, but on a different level. And then Dawn Gorman from Gorman Homestead is going to be coming and talking about the Homestead milk cow and raw milk. I'm very excited to hear this talk because I've recently figured out that I can drink raw milk and it doesn't make me sick like regular milk does. So we've got that going on. The demonstrations, I told you we're going to have Flomaton Famous doing tree grafting. Leslie's going to be demonstrating herbal tinctures. And this is throughout the whole weekend, Saturday and Sunday, both. Okay. And then we've got Grumpy Acres that's going to be doing demonstrations on fermenting. And we've got Lawrence, our own Lawrence from KSL, is going to be doing canning demonstrations all weekend. You can find those in the 4 corners of the concourse. And we've also got a guy from Yardbird that's going to be coming in both days. He's going to do chicken butchering demonstrations down in our holding area where we usually have the butchering demonstrations. You're going to be able to see that up close and learn how to butcher chickens if you've not learned how to do that already. Yeah. What am I forgetting? Well, you need to talk about the dinner.
Yes. We've got, we've got Saturday night at 6:00 is the charity dinner for Caleb House. We've still got tickets available for that. Caleb House is a restoration facility that Bear is doing for children that they rescue from certain types of incidences. If we talk too much, we'll get cut off. But go to Caleb House.
Trafficking. Just say trafficking.
Trafficking. That he rescues, but the tickets are $150. We try to keep those as cheap as we can, but all the proceeds for that go to Caleb House. We're wanting to raise as much money for them as we can. It's a prime rib dinner Saturday night. You're going to get to sit down, and all the speakers are going to be there. So if you want to sit by Angry Prepper, you can sit by Angry Prepper and talk to him while you're eating dinner. You get to hang out. We'll be there several hours just hanging out. We've got an auction, an actual live auction. Bruce is our auctioneer.
We've got some awesome items. We've some really awesome items that we're going to be able to give away at that.
Well, Leslie Gossett sent me a picture. She's got this awesome little basket with all these different tinctures and I think 2 or 3 books that's going to be in the auction. And she's also going to be putting in a plant walk. So she's donating. Awesome. She's donating that, and
I'll be bidding on that.
Yeah, I mean, William is doing a consultation, so you can auction off and buy a consultation from William. Do that. Callie Blackwell's doing a consultation.
Yep.
And then there's also some other stuff that we're going to auction off. So guys, buy your tickets for that Saturday night, and then also. If you want to come to the festival, one reason to come to the festival is to see William critique my compost pile, because I know there's going to be something wrong with it, and he's going to critique it and just throw me under the bus about it, I bet. So
He would never throw you under the bus. He has to be the most gracious person. He would never do that to you. But one thing that I forgot to mention is that Jason and William, so both of them have been to Eastern Tennessee and North Carolina, working with Grindstone Ministries. Jason spent a week out there. William was out there for I think about a week. I think
yeah,
he just like had different times than what you did. And he's actually going to be going back, I think, after our festival. But they're going to do a session where they're going to talk to you all and let you know the things that they saw, what you know, who was out there helping, who wasn't helping, all of that kind of stuff. And which is really the reason for our topic today. It kind of got Jason fired up about what we need to do. Seeing all of that stuff happened out there, really, he was like, okay, this is how it's going to play out, and this is what we need to do to compensate for that. So you'll want to come and hear that as well, because they're going to do a talking about all of that.
yeah. And honestly, you talked about me getting fired up. I mean, pretty much every day that we've talked, I've mentioned something about it.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like we need to get our poop in a group more than it already is and get that going. But guys, go buy your tickets. Come to the charity dinner. It's going to be an amazing weekend. You will find people that you can connect with and that you can build relationships with and have a community of that. I mean, hey, if you're a person that puts foot to butt and a doer and not just lip service, come find Shelly or I and talk to us. We can shoot you in the right direction, or you can, I mean, talk about being in our community with us. Either way, I mean, we're looking for like-minded people and people.
And you don't
that
even
are
have to
actually
be
gonna do
located in
stuff.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
We got people in our close knit group that are not located in Kentucky. So,
Even those West Virginians, we've got those.
and those
So,
Tennesseans.
yeah. I don't know which is worse, Tennessee or West Virginia.
We got a few Hoosiers in there too.
That's getting now. We might have to draw the line in Illinois.
Don't you be knocking Hoosiers. I'm a Hoosier. Don't you be knocking Hoosiers.
I was saying Illinois. We might have to knock that. I mean that's Commie Central up there.
Are the people in Illinois even allowed to like carry pew-pews? I don't think they are.
They have to be locked and unloaded, and the ammunition and the gun have to be in separate compartments.
So to have one in their car, it has to be like that?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you defend yourself with a completely disassembled? How do you do that?
You use your rape whistle.
Your rape whistle. Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to us today. It's been, a little fun talking about crazy raccoons and all that, but make sure that you're building your community. Make sure that that's number one on your prep list, because you can't do this all by yourself. I promise you cannot. I hope y'all have a fantastic week. I hope we get to see you at the festival. Come up and tell Jason and I, hey. And if you've been to Midwest and you've been to Self-Reliance Festival and you have poker chips from those, Jason and I will have poker chips for you to come up and win one of those Mora knives for the Great American Preparedness Tour. Now, we only have a limited number of poker chips. I can't, I want to tell you, it might be as little as 25 or something like that. Yeah. I'm not sure how many I've got in my stack, and Jason's got a few left in his pocket, but when they're gone, they're gone. So come up and see us as soon as you get there so you can get your poker chips, so you can get your Mora knife.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And get there. The first 100 people get a grab bag of goodies.
Oh, yeah. We've got some cool stuff in them, too. Yeah.
Yes. So be one of the first 100 people and you can get a grab bag of stuff. But, guys, we will see you Saturday and Sunday and possibly Friday at the festival. Y'all have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.